Hello and welcome to another month of what I've watched with me, Lisa Loves. We're going to go through what I watched in October. Hopefully the little screen recorder is still going there. Yes, it is. So we kicked off on the 2nd of October with The Conjuring. Now I know we've all seen The Conjuring. I've never been that big a fan of the Conjuring series. I absolutely love this subject matter. The thing that frightens me most in life is like the paranormal and ghosts and stuff like that. So I would have expected to love this movie, and I did really enjoy it, but The Conjuring gets such a big following and people just rant and rave about it so much being excellent, so I thought I'd give it another go. And I did, and I thought it was okay. I've given it a 3.5 there, which is a very good score. To me, something I watch and enjoy is generally a 3 out of 5. 3.5, I enjoy it a little bit more than normal. But with the subject matter and the effects, I would have expected The Conjuring for me to be a 4.5 or even a 5. I enjoy it, but I don't absolutely love it, and it wouldn't be on like a top 10 horrors or anything like that. Now, it was a big gap from the 2nd to the 11th. I've been watching a lot of ghost documentaries and Most Haunted and just all that kind of thing, so I've been neglecting the movies a little bit, unfortunately. But on the 11th, I watched Hubie Halloween, which is Adam Sandler's Halloween movie, which has been getting slated left, right and centre. I watched it with my son Isaac, who's 9. I enjoyed it. The type of stupid, ridiculous humour in this is right up my street. I did laugh out loud numerous times. I know a lot of people... Adam Sandler used to be amazing. In the days of Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, that's when I really loved him. I also love The Wedding Singer. I love that movie. Not as keen on later movies, but as a serious actor, Adam Sandler is really good. But this was just daft, stupid, silly. I really enjoyed it. My son really enjoyed it. My husband even liked it. So I think for families, I think Hubie Halloween is, although in saying that it is a 12, I think, and his mum in the movie wears t-shirts that are most inappropriate, and me and Darren are laughing at them, and Isaac's trying to work out why we're laughing at her t-shirt because he doesn't quite understand. So just be warned, if you watch it with kids, there are little bits in it that are inappropriate. On the same day I started, or actually sorry, I maybe had been watching prior, maybe that gap of movies, I'd started watching The Haunting of Bly Manor. Now, I am a big fan of The Haunting of Hill House. If you can hear a really weird sound in the background, it's one of my dogs. What are you eating? What is it? Oh, hang on. It's fucking Lego! You have to bloody kill yourself, dog. Right, the dog was eating Lego. Lego! I'm going to kill yourself. Right, The Haunting of Bly Manor. I'm a big fan of The Haunting of Hill House. This is such a professional setup, folks. I found it really, like I said, anything ghosty, supernatural, and The Haunting of Hill House did have some scenes in that really freaked me out. There's a bit where one of the characters is hiding under a bed, especially if you've seen it, and the other dog that wasn't eating Lego has just joined me, but I don't think you can see her. The Haunting of Bly Manor is by the same people. It's got a lot of the same cast in, and while I really enjoyed it, the acting was superb, the actual cinematography was beautiful, the setting was gorgeous. It just didn't quite have the same draw of the first of The Haunting of Hill House for me. I didn't find it frightening at all. I liked the story, but it didn't scare me, and I wanted it to scare me like the first one had. A couple of nights later, I watched Follow Me. I have to open these to try and remind myself. Oh, right, yeah. So, this is one where a social media person, a YouTuber, is it a panic room? He goes with a bunch of his friends to experience this never seen before escape room, sorry, and he's promised like the experience of his life. I think his pals have booked him in for it, and it's in Russia, I believe. Is it Moscow? Yeah, and it is that bit extra, shall we say. I did know where they were going to go with this, just before it ended. I thought, I know what they're going to do with this, and they did, which I was quite pleased with because I liked the ending. If you just like horror, if you're not particularly interested in a really like in-depth acting, you know, fantastic, like, I don't know, The Shining sort of acting performances, if you just want a nice little horror, I would recommend this. It's got gore in, the acting's fine. I find if you can watch a movie and you don't think about the acting, then the acting's good. I'm watching this, I'm just following the people and the friends and what they're doing, so the acting must have been fine. I enjoyed it. It's never going to win any awards, but it was a nice little movie. Follow me. On the 18th, I watched The Trial of the Chicago 7, which has recently hit Netflix. This is a true story. This is shocking. This is very long. Does it say here? 130 minutes. It was only 2 hours, 10 minutes. I thought it was a little, I think it was the other dog's here now. I've got 2 dogs on my name. What was intended to be a peaceful protest at the 1968 Democratic National Convention turned into a violent clash with police and the National Guard. Now, this is a true story about what actually happened, and the fact that the police actually started this. It follows the trial of 7 individuals and the blatant racism in this, and it's not only people of colour we're talking here, we're talking people that are Jewish. The judge is just evil personified in this. Sacha Baron Cohen's in this, playing a straight serious role. We do see pictures at the end of all the actual real people involved. It's just shocking. It's something you have to watch and look at and think, how on earth did that happen? How could that judge do that? How could he decide that? It's shocking. I would recommend it. I give it a 3.5. I thought it was very good. I did feel it dragged a bit in places, but it was a very good movie. Right, yes, The Ones Below. This was about a young couple living in an apartment. They get new neighbours that move in downstairs. They're pregnant, they're expecting their first child. The women of the 2 couples hit it off, and we discover that the woman downstairs is pregnant also. But really sort of like, the couple downstairs aren't what you would expect. They seem to be hiding something. Again, it's one where you probably will kind of guess where it's going to go, but it's like a thriller with a sort of dark edge to it. It's not fast moving at all, it's quite slow paced, but if you like a good story, something a bit different, it's well worth checking out. That's The Ones Below. Sorry, I'm not going to go through who directed and who acts in these movies, because I find I waffle too much anyway, so we don't need that. You can look that up yourself. If you're interested in the sort of basic story, I like to give you a basic what it's about, is it any good, and leave it at that. The same day, so we watched a lot of movies this day, Broken Contact, a poltergeist story. Right, it's like a factual documentary based ghost hunters going around and like checking stuff out. It's pretty much put forward as real. It's very well done. It is quite like, oh my god, sort of eyebrow raising. But I think if you... Come on now, dogs, behave yourselves. I think if you sort of take it, I think I said, if taken as entertainment only, it's pretty enjoyable. If you're watching this thinking there's any real paranormal occurrences, then best choose something else. And just to add to the professionalism of this video, my husband has just flushed the toilet upstairs. So, yeah, it's enjoyable, it's well done. It does come across as being like a real paranormal ghost hunting sort of expedition. It's done in a sort of like documentary format. I think we're meant to think that. But then when some of the stuff that happens, it's like, really? What are you wanting us to think that happened? So, yeah. Watch if you enjoy that kind of thing, but don't expect it to be real. So on the 23rd, we have Borat Subsequent movie film. Right, where will we go with this? I love the character of Borat. I'm a big fan of the first movie. To me, it's one of the funniest things I'd seen in years. It's the small things about Borat that I find really funny, rather than the big out-and-out jokes. It's little small things he does and says that crack me up. I was really looking forward to this, but I couldn't possibly think it was going to be anywhere near as funny as the first movie. Now, in saying that, for the first movie, I loved the first 3 quarters, and I feel the last quarter of the movie, you know, when Pamela Anderson comes in and all that sort of thing, the last quarter of the original movie, for me, wasn't that good. This movie definitely was much, much better than that last quarter of the original, but it wasn't quite as good as the first movie, although it was excellent. I really enjoyed it. It did make me laugh out loud numerous times. It's very irreverent. It will offend a lot of people. I know a lot of people won't even watch it, but you do need to be able to separate the humour from the reality. I mean, Borat is very sexist and he's very demeaning towards women. I'm female, am I offended by that? No, because it's a character and it isn't real. The joke really is on Borat rather than anyone else. The girl in this that plays his daughter, let me get her name, oh gee, I wish I hadn't tried now. Maria Bakalova is excellent, is really, really good. This is a story where Borat, on behalf of Kazakhstan, is trying to make peace with America, and he wants to bring a gift to give to a famous politician to try and make peace. I don't want to go into any more detail of what that gift is, what that gift becomes, but there's a lot of things happening within this, including Borat getting to know his daughter, who he didn't know he had, the relationship forming. There's all the usual offensive stuff of him doing and saying things to different people, and very clearly, like I said as I was watching it, everyone knows who Borat is. They're not going to be able to do that thing that they did the first time where people didn't know he was getting a rise out of them, that he was... So I think there are a lot of situations in this set up to look like the person doesn't know who he is, but they probably do. So I'm not entirely sure how many of them were real, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was very funny. I did laugh out loud numerous times. So Borat, subsequent movie film, I gave that a 4 out of 5. 25th, I watched The Disappearance at Clifton Hall. Alright, yeah. Right, this one is, I'll say average. This is one about a lady returning back to her hometown. She is convinced that as a child she witnessed the kidnapping of a little boy. It has always played on her mind. She has always thought about it. And when she goes back, she starts thinking about it again, and everyone around her thinks that she's mad, that there's something wrong with her. But she's determined to get to the bottom of whether this is something that she actually saw or whether it is a misplaced childhood memory. Again, quite slow, but the acting's good. It's just like a nice little filler movie. You're not going to watch it and think, wow, that was amazing, but it's not a bad movie. Where are we? The 25th, the same evening, A Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting. Right, okay. Full disclosure, I did not watch this fully. I was doing something. I think I was researching my family tree. My son was watching this, sort of like a kiddie Halloween movie. The acting in this is fine. The storyline seemed perfectly plausible until the monsters appeared. Right, if you're going to watch this, if your kids are going to watch this, they would need to be extremely young children, because honestly the monsters were on the same scare level as a Minion. They were just ridiculous. They could have made it a little bit more creepy, especially as the characters were like, there was one kid that was being babysat and the other characters were older, like early teens, maybe mid-teens. And then there's these things that are meant to be monsters that look like cartoon minions. It was all a bit ridiculous, to be honest. Fine for a kid. Like I said, the acting was fine, but the monsters, really, I don't know what they were thinking. On the 26th, I watched Black Box. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was about. Ah, right, yes, I enjoyed this one. It's got Felicia Rashad, is that? The mum from The Cosby Show, Bill Cosby's wife in The Cosby Show. And it's awful. I love The Cosby Show. It's a big part of my childhood. And now, I mean, Bill Cosby, what can you say? Right, Black Box. This is about a young man that has, after losing his wife and memory in a car accident, a single father undergoes an experimental treatment that makes him question who he really is. I cannot tell you what happens in this without spoiling it, so I'm going to have to be really vague. The guy just cannot remember his own child. He can't remember his friends, his job. He doesn't know himself. He doesn't know his personality. He starts exhibiting personality traits that all of his friends say, well, no, that's not you. You're not like that. And he thinks that maybe the brain damage he's received in the accident has made him aggressive or violent, or he wonders, was he violent towards his wife? But obviously he's lost his wife, so he doesn't know. And he has these flashes of memory that just really make him question whether or not he's a decent person. And I really liked this movie. I thought it was really good. I would thoroughly recommend it. Black Box. On the same evening, I watched, let me say, was it $14.99? Right, I got Amazon Prime very recently because I want to subscribe to Shudder, which I haven't yet, but I will. There's just so much other stuff to watch. And I thought, because this was being released on Amazon Prime, obviously because the cinemas aren't open, I thought if I had Amazon Prime movies, I'd get this free. No, $14.99 I had to pay to watch this. My son was desperate to see it. He's a big Roald Dahl fan. He loves the original movie. I did want to see it, but at $14.99, did I want to see it that bad? No. But anyway, it was Halloween, so we got it. And Octavia Spencer was in, and we all know how much I love Octavia Spencer. So obviously this is a remake of the original Roald Dahl Witches. We've got, what's that really pretty girl's? I'm going to have to... Anne Hathaway as Head Witch, which I was not at all happy, it has to be said. I didn't feel it was good casting for the role. I would like to see actresses in roles that don't look like they've just walked up a catwalk. You know, I'm not taking away from the fact that Anne Hathaway can act. Well, if you've seen that movie that was like a rip-off of... There is a movie that is a female version of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and Anne Hathaway's in it, and it is awful. It's so bad. I'm watching it and I'm thinking, that's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And it was a remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels with women in. Now that's one of my favourite comedies. The original with Steve Martin and Only Asked You to Blow the Bloody Doors Off. The English actor that was in The Italian Job. Right, my brain's gone. Anyway, we're meant to be talking about the witches. I would have liked to have seen a good character actress in this role, because a lot of women out there don't get roles because they don't look a certain way, or they get to a certain age and they don't get roles. Anne Hathaway gets roles just left, right and centre. I would have liked to have seen the role of the lead witch go to someone a little bit more quirky. That's a personal opinion. This movie was good. The special effects were excellent. It did not have the heart of the original movie. It wasn't as good. There was something missing for me. While I liked it, it just wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. On the 27th, I watched A Haunting on Hamilton Street. Oh, this was awful. Right, this is actually, again, real life paranormal investigators, but this one is real. And at 3 different locations, 760 hours of investigation. They put it into a 90-minute episode. Old Town Saginaw, maybe one of the most haunted places in the United States, running through Old Town and blah 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 blah. It's Hamilton Street. What will investigations uncover? Not a great deal, it turns out. Very little happened. It was very laborious to watch. I didn't like it. I found it a waste of time. Maybe it was more obviously realistic because it wasn't all this stuff happening all at once, but there was so little happening. It was ridiculous. On the same evening I watched, right, I don't know how I feel about this movie. I really don't. I was expecting to do a rant like I did about I Feel Pretty. Britney runs a marathon. Right, because there's so many terrible movies online, I did a Google search, best movies on Amazon Prime, and there was only one on that list I hadn't seen, and it was this one. This is a story about a young lady that sort of like has lost her way, I suppose. She works in, like, as an usher, a greeter in a theatre. She is a bit overweight. She decides to change her life for the better. She decides to lose weight. She decides to try out to run the New York Marathon. The issues I have with this, right, obviously it's me, I'm overweight. That's mostly down to being unwell and not being able to be physically active. It's also down to trying the wrong kinds of stuff. But this movie very much, for 3/4 of it, is put forward as how amazing it is that she's lost weight and how fantastic she looks. And they have obviously put fat makeup on her at one stage, the chins and things, but she's not by any means a really fat girl. She's just a bit overweight. But she loses weight, she gets confident, she meets a guy, she realises that her flatmate is just using her as the fat best friend. I revert back to my earlier comment about noise in the house. That's my husband walking about upstairs. But everything seems... Right, is this switched? Oh, it's done it again. It's done it again, people. It's switched off because I've been talking too long. It really puts it forward like all her problems are solved because she's lost weight. But when she loses weight, she becomes really... her personality changes, and not for the better. So from both perspectives, it's like saying if you're overweight, get your life in order, you have to lose weight. If you, like, even the write-up of this says, a young woman decides to make positive changes in her life by training for the New York City Marathon. Right. Can I go out and train for a marathon? No, because I've got chronic pain condition, as have several friends I have, who also cannot go out and be active. And we have to live in these bodies. And unless I live like a rabbit, and given I don't have many joys in life, I like my food, okay? I like my food. So trying to put across that if you're overweight, you need to make these changes, these positive changes in your life, it's down to your own laziness and blah, blah, blah. It's not always down to people's own laziness. There's a lot of other reasons. And I realise some people will be sat watching this saying it's quite simple. If you burn up more than you take in, you will lose weight. Yes, that's true. But for some people it's very difficult. Example, my husband can be sick for 2 days and lose 4 pounds. I can have food poisoning for a week and lose 1 pound. That's a true story. That happened. I put on weight extremely easily. I find it extremely difficult to lose weight, to the point that I think there's something wrong with me. I will give you an example. This isn't about my weight, but I'm going to give you an example. When I was pregnant, I had severe hyperemesis to the point I was hospitalised numerous times. That means you're so sick that you just are constantly sick. And your body goes into starvation mode, and it's quite dangerous. I lost 3 stone in 6 months. Now, that sounds like a lot. If you cut that down, that's half a stone a month, isn't it? And if you think about it, if you go on a diet, you would expect to lose half a stone a month, at least. That's deemed as a healthy weight loss, 1 to 2 pound a week, half a stone a month. I was basically starving because nothing would stay down. I was just... It's like people say morning sickness. This is like morning sickness all day. But that feeling you have before you physically are sick, you feel like that all the time. It's torturous. It is torture. I couldn't even look at a computer screen. My friends will say to you, I disappeared from the online world. I just felt so bad, and all I lost was half a stone a month. So you would expect, if that were anybody else, they'd lose half their body weight. I lost half a stone a month. In conclusion, Britney runs a marathon. The dog's shaking itself, that's what you're hearing. You're just going to get me telling you what all the various noises are. Another dog's about to jump up now. So if you're overweight, should you be offended that your life's problems sort themselves out because you've lost weight and you've run a marathon? Or if you're not overweight, should you be offended that when she loses weight she becomes not a very nice person? I'm not entirely sure. So I left this one feeling like I didn't know whether I should be offended or not. I gave it 2.5. I didn't really like it. Right, 3 movies left. On the 28th, Good Night, Sugar Babe, The Killing of Vera Jo Regal. Right. This is one that I may do a true crime story about if I can put it down into a small enough video, because it just, myself and my husband watched this and our eyebrows were literally just lost in our hairlines the entire way through. Right, this is about a young woman who has learning difficulties, who lives with a woman who has got, I can't even begin to tell you, and she's got the nickname Sugar Babe. She got this nickname as a child from her father that abused her. and she kept the name Sugar Babe. And if you've seen this woman, you would not put this woman and Sugar Babe in the... I can't... You have to watch this. It's just... You won't believe it's true, but it is. This film is an advert for the dangers and perils of inbreeding, if ever I saw. And I'm not just being nasty. There is inbreeding in this specific family. This poor woman ends up living with this Sugar Babe woman. And whatever this woman wants happens. She's just a horrible, vindictive, nasty bully of a woman. I had 101 questions, and I need to do more reading about this. Like, how did she end up with this woman? Why is she not with her mother? Even the horrible woman's mother knew she was being abused and nothing happened. It's just, you're watching it thinking, what? They've just said this, and nobody's addressing just the absurdity of what's just happened. Anyway, long story short, this young woman gets pregnant by the son of this woman, so it's like more inbreeding's going on. Because this Sugar Babe woman wants a child, so she gets this young woman pregnant. She has the baby, she tries to take the baby off her, and then decides she doesn't want this young woman about anymore, so she puts the thought into the minds of these other... My camera's gone off again. She puts the thought into the minds of these other young... Just, I can't even think of a word. Stupid is too mild a word for it. That it would be a good idea if Vera was no longer with us, and she even convinces them that Vera has done things that she hasn't done. I won't even go into stuff that... Watch it. You need to watch. If you're in any way interested in true crime cases, this is just one of the most staggering I have ever seen. And as it's a true crime case, you can guess they do kill this young girl. It's not a case of me telling you spoilers, this is a case, it's what happened. But just the frontness of this woman being interviewed through the whole interview, or through the whole movie, and not thinking that she's done anything wrong at all. And every person that comes on the screen and talks, you think, well, they're inbred. Now, I'm not being nasty. If you watch it, there's not one of them that's right. Not one of them. They're just all not right, and that's probably really offensive, but it's the only way I can think to say it that's polite. I would thoroughly recommend it if you like true crime, checking out Good Night, Sugar Babe, The Killing of Vera Jo Regal. I think that was on Amazon Prime. Two more, and this is longer than I wanted it to be because I got waffling again. His House. Right, this is one we watched. I think this was on Netflix. I liked this the other night. This was refreshingly different. This is about a couple that are fleeing Sudan and coming for a life in the UK, and they settle... I'm thinking it's London, but stuff has happened to them. They've gone through a lot of stuff. Obviously, coming from Sudan, you know, they've gone through God only knows what, but the culture there is very rich in witchcraft and voodoo and all this sort of thing. And when they get to their new home, they are convinced that they've brought something with them and that the home has got an evil entity. It is a mix between, I suppose, a drama and supernatural. Is there something in the house? Is there not? Is he going mad? Has he brought something with him? My foot just made a noise on the sofa. I'm so used to my son asking me, did you fart? No, I did not fart. That was my foot on the sofa. I liked this. I thought it was really different. I really liked both actors, the man and the woman. I do think it did represent things they have to go through, coming here and settle in, and obviously there's a lot more that going on in this because it has got a supernatural sort of slant to it, but it was directed by Remy Weeks, and I have heard that name before. I'm not going to sit and look up what else they directed, but it's got Matt Smith, one of the old Doctor Who's, is in this as well. So yeah, I would recommend His House on Netflix. Probably only if you're a movie fan that does not mind watching something that's that bit different. If you like the whole, I don't know, if you're a big fan of like Friday the 13th, Halloween, you know, like slasher movies and not much else, this probably won't be up your street. But if you like things, if you like a broad cross-section of horror, you probably will like this. Lastly, Vampires versus the Bronx. This was one we put on for my son. Again, it was over Halloween. This one's actually not too bad. I was doing something else at the time. I can't remember what it was when this was on. It was either Family Tree or Video Editing, I can't remember. This is one about a group of young lads within the Bronx who, basically all the businesses in the Bronx are being bought out by this company. What's the name of it? There are...
Marnow.
What?
Marnow, it's the...
Marnow, something. Anyway, I didn't catch the Easter egg, but apparently the name of the company that's buying everything out is the name of what?
The director of Nosferatu.
Oh right, is the director of the original, is it the 1922 Nosferatu? I really like that movie. But the director of its name is used in this as the company that's... So that was lost on me, but my husband realised when we were watching it. The special effects in it are really good, the vampires are good, the acting of the kids is really good. That's probably stopped recording, it doesn't matter because it's the last one. Yeah, I'd say for kids that are a bit older, because it probably had a bit of language and I don't remember. You could watch worse things. I enjoyed Hubie Halloween more than I enjoyed this, but this is a little bit more serious. It's not so stupidly daft, which I loved about the other movie, but you could watch worse things with your kids at Halloween. I wouldn't watch it with anyone young enough to be frightened of sort of vampire imagery, because some of the vampires look pretty scary in this. But Isaac likes that kind of thing, so I think he really did enjoy it. I like the sort of relationships between the kids in it. All the acting was good in it, cinematography was good in it, so yeah, I would say it's a thumbs up from that one. So that is what I've watched in October, which isn't an awful lot, but I've talked so much waffle that this video was probably longer than most of the other ones. So let me know if there's anything that's new on any of the streaming services that I've missed that I really should watch. And let me know what you think of any of the ones I watched, or if you disagree, or if you were mortally offended by Borat. I'd love to know why in the comments. So thank you for watching. Hopefully in the next week or so I'll have another true crime case up. I may cover the one I talked about earlier because it's just staggering, but there is just so much. It may be just impossible to do, but I'll see if I can. If you haven't already, I do have a personal channel. If you're interested in things like vlogs or just daily life, hop on over there and check that out. I'm trying to grow it a little bit. I will put the link in the comment below. It's called Kit and Caboodle, and basically it just follows us about during the week doing normal stuff. So if you're interested in that, definitely pop over and give me a subscribe. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you next time on Lisa Lives.